A player who is already in a coma for over 3 years, or a neck injury that almost ended Messi's entire life? Today, we bring you the moments when football players almost died. Hit the restroom and grab a can of soda because this is going to be one hell of a ride. 2017 was meant to be a huge year for Abdelhak Nouri. He was inching closer to becoming a starting 11 player for Ajax. He was fit, young and healthy, and he really showed his class on the official debut for Ajax. The same day that Frenkie de Jong and Mateus Dijk made their debut.
Mag ik hem nemen? Ja, je mag hem nemen. En dat doet hij dan op deze manier.
On July 8, 2017, like every other match day, Nouri was ready to make a similar impact. Everything was pitch perfect and the game was spot on, but little did Nouri know the calamity that awaited him. Nouri started against the German squad, Werder Bremen. He was in the form of his life, but in the blink of an eye, something happened. Something that would change his life forever. The match began and everything was as usual when all of a sudden, Appy collapsed. No one knew what went by, but in the next few moments, the young lad was fighting for his life. He was having a cardiac arrhythmia. Nouri's teammates were utterly helpless. It was his fight, and he had to get through it. The medical staff gave him CPR, but it wasn't enough to be. Nouri was rushed out of the stadium to hospital. Hours passed by, but there was no news. The world was in a state of disbelief. They were praying for a miracle. After an unending wait, it was declared that Appy had suffered a very severe and permanent brain damage. He was unconscious and put on life support. The next home game for Ajax was just your goosebumps.
Abdelhak Nouri.
He still lies in a coma after more than 3 years, but Appy is becoming more conscious by the month and we all hope it will return. Appy, stay strong. Even Ronaldo wished him all the best.
Just to wish you a happy birthday. I wish that you recover fast and all the best for you, man. Take care. Keep in touch.
Guys, I hope you're not sobbing already because our next story is even more heart-wrenching. Liverpool's mainstay, the superstar Van Dijk, might seem all fit and athletic, but this wasn't the case back in 2012. My man was 21 and his career was just taking off, but all of a sudden, he became ill. It seemed like the normal flu, but little did he know that his small episode of bad health was way more sinister. As the condition progressed, Van Dijk became really unwell and had this severe abdominal pain. And the cause of the pain? Even the hospital didn't have the answers until it nearly took his life. As things turned out, there was nothing right with his body. He had his entire body crashing. He had appendicitis, pancreatitis, and a kidney infection. He was inching closer to death with every passing day. Recently, when asked about his condition, Van Dijk told, "The only thing that I could see was tubes hanging over me. My body was broken and I couldn't do anything." Shocked, right? A guy who is so composed and calm on the field. There was a time when even he broke down. Things got so out of hand that Van Dijk even got his will ready because he felt he was never gonna make it. Jeez, this was nothing less than a nightmare. And well guys, there's a reason why mothers are a blessing. It was Van Dijk's mother who took him to the hospital. If it were not for her, my man would have been history. Then there's another star who had a very close encounter with death. If it were not for divine intervention, there was no way my man would have made it. On June the 14th, 2021, Denmark was facing Finland in the Euro 2020. The stage was all set. The Danish people had their hopes tied to one person, their star captain, Christian Eriksen. They knew if someone could change their destiny, it was this guy. The match started and things were starting to heat up. It was 43 minutes into the game when suddenly Eriksen collapsed on the field. What was it? How could someone as fit as him go unconscious like this? Well, this absolutely healthy man had got into cardiac arrest. This was unbelievable. The crowd went into absolute silence. What else could they do? No one knew how to respond. Danish fans began pouring out their emotions as they witnessed their captain laying stationary on the field. The cheers had turned into tears. The ecstasy became agony. The situation was dire. All the players and referees sprinted over to block the scene from the ever-pouring camera. Behind this circle, the doctors and medical teams were seen resuscitating Eriksen and using a defibrillator to bring the number 10 back to life. It wasn't until 15 minutes after his collapse that Eriksen was stretchered out of the stadium and rushed to the hospital. The wait began. The entire world was praying for this man. It was after an hour's wait, a wait that never seemed to end, that the doctors announced Eriksen was alive and doing well. Eriksen himself even posted a selfie after the surgery to confirm to the football world he would fight on another day. Since then, my man has made great progress. He returned to football and now he's playing for Manchester United. This is how hard work pays you off. I can feel you guys, you're already invested in the video, but put yourselves together, because the way our next player got away will bring tears down your eyes, because this guy was only 2 millimeters away from death. Hell yeah. It was back in 2017 when the little boy from Rosario, the man, the myth, the legend, had to prove himself once again. Barca was facing Juventus in the Champions League and the pressure was immense. Barca had already lost the first leg, and if there was one guy who could save them, it was none other than the football god, Messi. And Messi was prepared for anything. The match started, things were pretty damn serious, and the Champions League was at stake. Messi wanted to get through to the semi-finals, and so did Juventus. The match was about to end with 0 goals per side when Messi made this extremely dangerous, high-effort move. As a consequence, he crashed into the ground. For once, the world stopped. Messi had injured his neck, and according to the doctors, if he had been 2 millimeters higher, he would have died. My goodness, the superstar could have potentially ended his life on the field. But see, most of the mishaps occur off the field. Like for this man, Mateus Silva, who nearly died and was brought back to life. It all happened back in 2017 when my man decided to go on vacation. It was July 4th when Silva made up his mind that he was going to Lake Tahoe alongside his friends. But my man was unaware of the calamity that was awaiting him. He and the boys got up early and began the road trip. As soon as they reached the beach, Silva was so thrilled that he completely lost it. He was playing like a little child. It felt as if he were released out of captivity. It was a beautiful day and Silva was having the time of his life. Soon, he dived into the water and went for a swim, but what felt like a dream soon turned into a nightmare. While taking the swim, he started screaming. The boys had the impression that Silva was toying around, but then he disappeared underwater. This seemed unreal, and the boys knew right away something was wrong. They raced in and pulled Silva out, but to their shock, the dog was unresponsive. He had no pulse and no breathing. They tried CPR, but all in vain. As a last resort, they called 911. Silva was taken to the hospital, where he was immediately given intensive care. He woke up 2 days later. He had been in a coma. Jeez. If it weren't for his friends, Silva would have been dead. Dog was definitely traumatized for life. In fact, during this time, Silva's friend and teammate Windolowski gave him a tribute by wearing his number in a football match. Our next legend is a man who could have died even before he was born. So guys, stay tuned for our next story. In the winter of 1984, Maria Dolores dos Santos Aveiro, the mother of 3, came head-to-head with her greatest fear. Amidst all the poverty and starvation, she was pregnant once again. Her husband was an alcoholic, and it was extremely tough for her to make ends meet. She'd been living in extreme poverty alongside her 3 kids, and this new pregnancy was a big red flag. She knew she was bringing another child into a world that had shown no mercy to her. So to save this unborn child from the ordeal, she decided to go all in. She was ready to get an abortion. Hence, with a very heavy heart, Maria Dolores went to the doctor and asked him for an abortion. But maybe it was destiny. The doctor refused. He was not ready to perform the procedure. At this moment, Maria cried. She was a helpless woman who had to bear another child, and she had no other options. So on the 5th of February 1985, she gave birth to a boy. Maria named this boy Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, you heard me right. This boy went on to become one of the most influential figures on the planet. Not only did he win his country the first Euro Cup, but he also won 5 Ballon d'Ors, amongst many other accolades. They often say, you either die as a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Just like back in 1998, when Beckham became the most hated guy in the entire country. During the 1998 FIFA World Cup, David Beckham was the undisputed superstar, and the country's hopes were tied to him. People were counting on him. It was England versus Argentina, and the match was neck to neck. The goals were level, and the results could have gone either way. But then, in the heat of the moment, Beckham made an irreparable mistake.
Simeone and Beckham.
Due to this single mistake, he was sent off the field after getting booked for a red card. And damn, it was the final nail in England's coffin. The hopes went down the drain, and then the inevitable happened. England was knocked out. David Beckham had to run for his life. The people were so furious that they wanted him dead. This single mistake had proven too costly. His life was turned upside down. His family was targeted, and things became really tough for him. He even received death threats. It was only after a considerable amount of time that things got settled.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way.
Don't be sad, we got more awesome content for you if you can't get enough.